Monster Hunter Wilds had a crazy release, to be honest. It had a lot to live up to, and it needed to do a lot right. It needed to appeal to newcomers a little bit and be somewhat easy to get into because they want to attract a bigger crowd. It needed to succeed at being better than Monster Hunter World and build upon those mechanics. Rise came after World, yes, but this ecosystem and the more realistic graphics and bigger scope is more attuned to Monster Hunter World and kind of going for those fans. For me personally, as a huge fan of Monster Hunter World, and that one being my starting Monster Hunter game where I have almost 500 hours on it now, Wilds I think tops it by a little bit. That's how much I've enjoyed it so far. With one glaring flaw though that really is frustrating that it's even here, because the game is so good in so many areas and it would be damn near perfect if it weren't for this big issue. For this review of Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm going to start with the big negative to kind of get it out of the way, because the rest of it is kind of going to be me showing how much I've enjoyed the upgrades to the mechanics, the ecosystem, the monsters, everything. So I do want to turn it over to you guys. Let me know, are you a new fan and did you enjoy Monster Hunter Wilds, or are you a returning fan and what did this game do for you? Did it exceed your expectations? Are you frustrated at anything? Let me know down below in the comments. I'm really curious. Now let's get into the big blemish that honestly hurts my soul because the game is so good in so many areas, but this is a big problem, and it's the performance and visual quality of this game. I was playing this on a base PS5, and you get 3 options for performance. You get frame rate mode, resolution mode, or a balanced mode that kind of balances the two, but you need a 120 hertz display to use this. Now, I actually opted to use the balanced mode through most of my playthrough because I have a 120 hertz display. And what's kind of cool is it locks it to 40 FPS, which is kind of a weird frame rate, right? But it makes it smooth enough to where it's not 30 FPS and clunky, but it's not right there at 60, but the visual quality was at least a little bit better. And that's because the frame rate mode is disgusting. I've never seen a frame rate mode this bad since Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And with Rebirth, I was able to play in 30 FPS. It wasn't too fast-paced of a game, and it was fine. So I thought the same would be here for Wilds, right? So I tried playing on the resolution mode, and it's actually a lot worse here with Wilds. You're looking around your environment a lot for vine traps, for boulders you could drop on monsters. You're turning the camera a lot in this game, much more than Rebirth, so I couldn't do 30 FPS. The visual quality was so much better, but I just couldn't handle the low frame rate. And for the frame rate mode, to get 60 FPS, also not even a stable 60 FPS, you take such a big hit in visual quality. If your character or anything in your environment is not right up in your face, I'm not joking, if you look in the background, it's like pixelated, almost 420p quality. It's insanely bad looking, and I just couldn't do it. It was like someone smeared mud over the whole screen. I really couldn't handle it, so I went with the balanced mode. But again, I don't want to be playing at 40 FPS necessarily, and even then, the game doesn't look that great all the time. The color scheme is kind of gray at times, and trust me, I have edited the brightness down to a T. I have a beginner's combat guide, which I'll link down below if you want some tips for this game. And trust me, I mentioned the brightness and how you need to calibrate it to get the picture looking better. But even then, the color grades of everything is not just up to quality. And even though Monster Hunter World was more almost slightly cartoony and things were more simple, the art direction just stands out way better in Monster Hunter World. I think World actually looks better than Wilds. And you know, you could say, well, why don't you get a strong PC to play it? That doesn't work either. My friends with a 4090 could not run this game good. It was going below 60 FPS if they want even decent visual quality, and they're now doing patches to fix the game. If you look anywhere online, you see the PC version has serious performance issues, and that's not acceptable. Like, this game is so big, and I feel like they had enough time to iron this stuff out, and especially for consoles, like, we don't all want to get a PS5 Pro, right? And even then, they needed to fix the colors and some things like that. So it's very frustrating for me personally because I love this game. Genuinely, again, it's past Monster Hunter World for me. That's how much I've had fun with it, but it hurts my eyes a lot of the time, trust me. So now that that rant is out of the way, That is pretty much my only criticism and problem I've had with this game. Everything else, honestly, was a step up, and I truly do love this game. Let's start with how they change the world and how the monsters interact, and one thing that goes along with it is the start of the game. I feel like it starts out much better and gets you into action much quicker. In World, I started it twice, and after like 10 hours each try, I didn't get into it. It wasn't until the third time where my Twitch chat nagged me to play it again, and I finally got into it and it clicked. It was just a little too slow of an intro. In this game, I feel like they get you right into the swing of things, and even the first battle tutorial really shows you all the mechanics, especially the new focus and wound system, which is probably my new favorite aspect of the combat in this game. So as I said though, the monsters in this are much more interactive. There's bigger groups of monsters. They're going to be doing a bunch of different things compared to Worlds that seem more advanced, right? Their fur is more interactive. The way they interact with their environment is more deep. The way they interact with each other is more deep. Sometimes you'll see herds of 4 monsters at a time, and it's really cool to watch this world interact and this ecosystem. And it's kind of open world. I say kind of because it's not into little mission sections like you would in World, but it's also not like extremely open world. You could still teleport across all the regions and their specific regions. It's just when you leave your base camp, it's such a big open zone to where it's basically open world. So it's a giant world. It's not necessarily seamless open world the whole time, but I really like the layout. I love opening my map and seeing all the regions and kind of just traveling across this place and seeing the environment and monsters. I think the new monster designs as well are fantastic. I feel like this team is always good at creating really unique and spontaneous monster designs, and the way they behave is so fun to fight. And once again, the combat system is just as deep as previous entries. Each weapon takes a lot of learning, and it's a lot to train yourself, but it's so fun when you pull off cool moves, and every single weapon almost has like 3 to 5 new combos in the combo strings you could learn, which it was so fun. I'm a big bonk hammer main, and it was nice trying out the new moves. And once again, the wound system is so good in my opinion. So in this game, you could hold down your aim button and you focus, which basically lets you easily aim at any spot on the monster's body. And you might think it makes it super easy, but it didn't in my opinion. It was just a good mechanic to bring along to this series. And you create a wound after hitting a certain body part after a while. Then when you focus in, you'll see these red glows of where there's wounds, and you do a special strike, which is almost like a super move to break that wound, and it gets you materials and just does such a cool animation that varies from every single weapon. I seriously think the focus and wound system is a great new system for the combat that gives a lot more depth and doesn't cost any bit of the difficulty. A lot of people said this game was easier, and my opinion on that is you have more tools at your disposal as a hunter, which actually makes it more fun. But the monsters are just as threatening in my opinion, and when you get to high rank, they will kill you. And you don't have super monster endgame stuff like Fatalis and stuff, because I think this game is going to have a big expansion, just like they did in all the other Monster Hunter games. We're even getting a free update soon with some additional monsters, and that's just a nice add-on. They have plenty already in this game, in my opinion. I'm also in love with the movement. In general, I feel like you're faster in this game, but I don't actually think you're any faster than World. I think just the animation quality of your character makes it seem smoother, so in return makes it feel faster. You could move around and your character jerks from side to side, and just it looks realistic but feels so smooth and snappy, and I love it. And then a lot of the weapons have new movement abilities, like for example with my hammer, now I could use my grapple to kind of dodge around the place while I'm charging up. If you're using the bow, you could perfect dodge and you just keep it going like a rhythm. It's a lot of fun movement mechanics added to this. And then you have your Sacred, which is your mount that basically gets you around the area super fast. I also thought this was a great idea. You could use him to obviously get to areas really quickly. You could jump off your mount and do a special move to mount the monster, which adds even more combat depth and cool moves you could use in this giant hunting playground. Overall, combat was fantastic. It was just like Monster Hunter World, but upgraded in all the best ways, in my opinion. And then aside from me loving the new combat additions and kind of how the world in this game interacts instead of going on straight missions like in World, the story was actually pretty good. It wasn't mind-blowing or anything, but I actually remember these characters. Like, I'm going to remember Gemma, I'm going to remember Alma and Nata. I really liked the story they had going on here. Whereas in World, dude, I couldn't tell you the names of any of the, like, story characters. I really couldn't. I just remember the handler, and the rest of it is just memories of all my hunts and bonking monsters. The CGI cutscenes that would play too at serious story moments were beautiful. Like, they are smooth, dude. So the visuals themselves had some issues in my opinion, but when it comes to those cutscenes in the story, they are really well done and polished. Also, any of the quality of life stuff or small changes they made to systems, I actually like. I don't think it makes the game any easier. Again, I think it just makes it smoother. One that I really appreciated was the way you do layered armor. In this game, there's just two ways you equipped armor. You have one section at the smithy where you put on your actual gear that is going to affect your stats, and then if you go in your tent, there's an equipped armor appearance, which any high rank armor you've created you can put on to basically make your character look however you want them to, but it doesn't affect the stats. You're still going to have the armor that you put on. It just makes things streamlined in a way where it's not easier, it's just everything is less annoying and smoother in my opinion, and that made an overall better experience for the game for me. I also love just being in the hub and seeing a bunch of people online. This game feels very connected, which I think is really cool. You see just a bunch of hunters everywhere. And while I do think World had a couple regions that were a bit cooler than anything in Wilds, overall, the regions are awesome in Wilds. There's a bunch of different weather conditions and environments you're going to travel across. Overall, I absolutely loved Monster Hunter Wilds. I am Hunter rank 46 right now. I think that's a decent amount of time to basically have my thoughts. I think I enjoy it more than World. I say think because I want to give it a bit more time, but I've played this game so much now that I know I'm having more fun. And even though I love World, Wilds just takes what World did and made it even better in most of the areas. So I do hope they patch the game a little bit for the visuals. I don't know what upscaler they're using on PlayStation and probably Xbox as well, but I think they need to change it. It just doesn't look good upscaling whatever low resolution the game is doing up to 4K. It looks so muddy, blurry, and pixely. I think they could do some fixes here. Hopefully they do, but for the rest of the patches and life cycle of this game, I'm pretty sure they're going to add more monsters, which probably come in free updates, and then they'll probably do one giant expansion like they've done for the other mainline games. So again, let me know what you're thinking of Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm still going to be playing this a whole ton. Make sure to follow my Twitch as well, because I stream the game and you guys can join hunts with me, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Monster Hunter Wilds, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. The guild commands you to have a fantastic day and go on some hunts. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Later.